The honey in your cupboard hides a disturbing secret. For 3,000 years, this was considered liquid gold, a substance so powerful that when archaeologists found it in Egyptian tombs, it was still edible. In the Middle Ages, it was the ultimate medicine. Surgeons used it to heal wounds that modern antibiotics struggle to treat. Vikings took it on sea voyages for months because it simply never spoiled. But today, that jar you bought at the supermarket is often a biologically dead, industrially processed sugar product. It's no longer a healer, it's an invader. And science is finally proving why your body reacts to it like poison. In the cold, fog-laden hills of 14th century England, a peasant woman climbs the side of a limestone cliff, carefully balancing a woven basket. Inside are the hives she tends, buzzing with dark amber gold, honey. This honey isn't merely sugar, it's medicine, food, and currency. Royal courts prize it, monasteries store it for decades, and families rely on it to survive long winters when crops fail. Unlike the honey you find in plastic bear-shaped bottles today, this raw, unprocessed nectar carries with it a microscopic ecosystem, minerals from the soil, and natural enzymes that our ancestors depended upon. The honey in your cupboard today hides a disturbing secret. For thousands of years, it was a preservative so powerful that 3,000-year-old honey was found in Egyptian tombs and was still edible. Vikings took it on sea voyages because it never spoiled. But today, you buy a jar and your body reacts with blood sugar spikes, inflammation, and an immune system that treats it like an attacker. Modern honey has devolved into an industrially processed sugar product, stripped of everything that made it healing. Medieval honey was born in complexity. Beekeepers in the forests of Germany or the hills of Tuscany cultivated hives not as factories, but as integrated parts of a local ecosystem. Medieval bee colonies were wild or semi-wild, living in hollow trees or straw huts called skeps. The beekeeper hardly intervened, protecting the hive from bears and thieves, while the bees built their combs according to their own instincts. These bees foraged across meadows rich with over 200 different plant species: thyme, lavender, clover, linden, and willow. Each plant contributed different enzymes, pollen, and phytochemicals. The result was honey of incredible complexity, containing hundreds of bioactive compounds like flavonoids and phenolic acids. Modern beekeeping is the exact opposite. Bees are forced into standardized frames and queens are artificially inseminated. Worse, they are kept on monocultures, rapeseed or sunflowers, where they collect nectar from a single, chemically identical source. They are loaded onto trucks and transported to huge fields soaked in pesticides. While medieval beekeepers left enough honey for the bees to survive, modern beekeepers maximize the harvest and feed the bees industrial sugar syrup. The bees store this sugar in the combs, mixing it with real nectar. What you buy is a mixture of real nectar and processed sugar that the bees should never have eaten. To understand why medieval honey was a superfood, we must look at bioactivity. In 1983, a research team at the University of Waikato in New Zealand conducted a remarkable study. They compared commercial supermarket honey with traditional, unheated honey managed with medieval methods. The commercial honey showed little to no antibacterial effect. The traditional honey killed multi-resistant Staphylococcus bacteria that were immune to modern antibiotics. This effect was so strong that doctors began using medical honey in hospitals. Medieval honey was medical honey in every jar because beekeepers didn't know how to ruin it. It contains glucose oxidase, an enzyme that continuously produces small amounts of hydrogen peroxide, a natural antiseptic. Medieval physicians from Hildegard of Bingen to Avicenna in Persia intuited these effects. They used honey in poultices to treat infections, soothe throats, and preserve foods, noting its ability to cleanse ulcers and reduce fevers long before germ theory emerged. Modern honey is almost unrecognizable from its medieval counterpart. First, it is centrifuged at high speeds, then heated to 60 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Celsius, or even 80 degrees Celsius. Why? To make it thin so it flows faster through industrial pipes and to prevent crystallization. Consumers prefer clear liquid honey, but this heat kills everything. Enzymes like diastase and invertase become inactive above 40 degrees Celsius. Glucose oxidase is destroyed at 50 degrees Celsius. Vitamins B and C decompose. What remains is biologically dead sugar. Ultrafiltration presses heated honey through filters to remove wax and all pollen. While the industry claims this is for clarity, it actually hides the honey's origin, allowing for adulteration with rice or corn syrups. Removing pollen strips away essential proteins and minerals. Ultimately, honey without pollen loses its nutritional identity. It is like bread without wheat. Medieval storage mattered. Clay pots, wooden casks, and stone cellars weren't just convenient, they influenced quality. Clay is porous, allowing honey to breathe slowly, which stabilizes moisture and preserves enzymes. Much like wine in a barrel, medieval honey matured over time, becoming more complex as enzymes continued to work. Modern honey is stored in plastic containers or metal drums in warehouses. Plastic releases chemicals like bisphenol A, BPA, which have hormonal effects. Metal reacts with the natural acids in honey, altering the taste. Because modern honey is already heated and filtered, it doesn't mature. It only ages, loses its aroma, and the remaining active compounds break down. Medieval honey supported gut health in ways modern honey cannot. It contained prebiotic fibers and live microbes that maintained digestive balance. It had a low glycemic index because the enzymes, proteins, and pollen slowed down sugar absorption. When a medieval peasant ate a spoonful of honey, their blood sugar rose slowly and evenly. Modern honey behaves like table sugar. It causes a rapid insulin spike followed by a crash that leaves you hungry and tired. Furthermore, modern honey is often contaminated with glyphosate, the herbicide found in over 70% of European honey samples. Glyphosate destroys the gut microbiome, meaning the healthy product you're eating is slowly poisoning your internal balance. Ironically, while medieval skeletons show lower rates of tooth decay because honey protected their teeth, modern processed honey actively rots them. Medieval physicians had an empirical understanding of honey's healing properties. In 14th century England, John Gerard recommended honey with sage for coughs. In Italy, Taddeo Alderotti used it with vinegar as an antiseptic. Monasteries kept jars for decades as medical stockpiles. The power of honey was so great it was used for embalming. Medieval texts describe honey being used to preserve fallen warriors for long journeys home. Alexander the Great was allegedly embalmed in honey to prevent decay. This level of preservative power is completely absent in the dead, heated sugar we find in supermarkets today. Sweetness in the Middle Ages wasn't excessive. Bees foraged on diverse flora, leading to lower fructose concentrations and complex flavor profiles. A 2009 study by the Technical University of Dresden analyzed medieval recipes and found over 300 identifiable aroma compounds. Modern supermarket honey has between 40 and 60. These aroma compounds are bioactive molecules. A complex honey activates more receptors in your brain and digestive system, triggering a coordinated immune response. A simple modern honey is recognized only as simple sugar. Your body treats it as quick energy with no other benefits. Understanding this history offers practical lessons. Medieval beekeeping was extensive and sustainable, with modest harvests that respected the bees. To find real honey today: 1. Look for crystallization. If it stays liquid forever, it's dead. Real honey turns solid. 2. The cloudiness test. Hold the jar to the light. If you see tiny particles, that's the pollen and wax, the healing substance. 3. The taste profile. If it only tastes sweet, it's sugar. Real honey should have layers: floral, resinous, or tart. 4. Local and seasonal. Buy from beekeepers who keep bees on wildflower meadows and allow them to eat their own honey in winter. Medieval honey was a superfood because it was alive, diverse, and carefully integrated into human environments. Its potency came from natural enzymes and ecological balance, a system modern production has erased for profit and uniformity. The medieval farmer with his cloudy, thick honey was no primitive. He was a master of applied physics and biology. As modern diets fail us and infrastructure becomes fragile, Looking back at the liquid gold of our ancestors reveals a forgotten pathway to true health. Not all honey is created equal, and the wisdom of the past may still be the best medicine for our future.